Is not the Sinfonia, it is the Sinfonia, because it is an Italian-themed company, and because of that we have to give a very special Italian accent to all of the names of our ships, so Sinfonia it is. And the initials MSC, which precede the ship's name, stands for Mediterranean Shipping Cruises. All of the ships in our passenger division are named after something musical. So this one, for example, which is Sinfonia, means symphony in Italian. And we have other ships like the MSC Lyrica, the Opera, the Musica, and this one. Now, South Africans have to be very careful when they pronounce the name of this particular vessel. It's the MSC Poesia, and that means poetry in Italian, a very lyrical sounding name. And we have discussed very carefully with the marketing company that we don't think it's a very good idea that they ever bring this ship to South Africa. Although I don't know, Alan, maybe it would be a good idea. I think it'd be quite fun there.
Oh, what are you doing this weekend, eh? Oh, just going on the bushy.
I think that could work myself, but that's just a personal opinion. Now, it is a sizable investment to get into the cruise ship industry. You can imagine that just a mid-sized vessel costs in the region of 600 million euros. And that is an amazing investment. That's 6 billion rand just for one ship. And as I said, in March next year, we will have 13. Now, this is a matter of interest. It's one of the largest ships we have in our fleet. It's called the MSC Splendida. And from March next year, when we complete this particular phase, we will have 4 ships of this particular size. Now, to give you an idea of how big the ship actually is, if you started walking from the back of the ship to the front along the very bottom corridor, you go up a flight of stairs, you walk along the next corridor to the back, up a flight of stairs and walk to the front again. You kept on going in that zigzag fashion until you got to the very top. You would cover a distance of 6 kilometers. Now that's just along one corridor. These ships hold over 5,000 people. They are literally floating cities, so incredibly large vessels. Unfortunately, at this stage, it's unlikely that these ships will visit South Africa in the near future. It's not because the harbours can't facilitate ships of this size, It's unfortunately because of the passenger facilities at the harbours cannot accommodate that many guests to embark and disembark. But hopefully in the future, certainly with a growing business in South Africa, we might be able to experience ships like these. But right now, no matter where you want to cruise in the world, MSC has a cruise ship to take you there. This particular one is doing the Western Mediterranean. It leaves from Italy, it does southern France and Spain, all the way to the Canary Islands, a very beautiful part of the world if anybody has the chance to go there. Interesting fact about the Canary Islands, I was there quite recently. Do you know there are no canaries on the Canary Islands whatsoever? Not one. But I've also been to the Virgin Islands. And do you know there are no canaries there either? Quite amazing stuff. Later this year, we'll be bringing out the MSC Opera, which is a similar size to the Sinfonia, slightly bigger. She's slightly more modern, and this vessel actually was originally constructed for an American company called Festival Cruise Lines, and they unfortunately were not able to weather the problems suffered in 2001 when there was a terrorist attack on the United States of America. People were refusing to cruise, they wouldn't fly, and some of the smaller cruise ship companies couldn't survive that. So MSC actually took over that particular vessel at the very beginning of its life. But the MSC Opera was purpose-built for MSC. So she has the wonderful, classic, elegant Italian lines, lots of sweeping marble staircases, and we are quite sure that the South African guests are going to absolutely love it when she arrives in November, middle of November, later this year. Now some technical details for you. Lots of people want to know how fast do we go. Well, speed at sea is measured in knots, and the conversion to kilometers per hour you have to multiply by 1.852. So our maximum speed is 22 knots or 40 kilometers an hour. In other words, at maximum speed we can travel 400 kilometers in just 10 hours. Not bad for a machine that weighs in at 65,000 tons. Now when these ships are built, they're built in a segmented format. That's very important from a stability point of view, because we're constantly bombarded by waves, winds and currents and so on, and we don't want to put too much stress on the metals, and that's why it's built in the segmented way. Everything is pre-constructed and then placed together like a giant three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle, and there's some photographs of the construction of the ship. We also have to have a service plan. Every year our ships get inspected from tip to toe, and every second year we have a full refurbishment. When the ship goes into dry dock, it gets fully inspected, so we replace anything that needs to get replacing and any maintenance that needs to get done. But we also have a very long-term preventative maintenance program. We're constantly painting and refurbishing and changing and fixing as we go along, because of course we live in the sea, and the sea is a very hostile environment. Well, now we get to learn a little bit more about what drives the vessel. I mentioned earlier it's called an azipod. It's purely electrically driven. Quite a lot of power is needed, 10,000 kilowatts in fact, for each of the azipods, and we have two of them. They are placed towards the back of the ship, and as you can see from these photographs, they are giant propellers that push us through the water at great power. Now, in addition to these propellers, we also have propellers at the front of the ship. These are called bow thrusters, and the bow thrusters will assist our captain in moving away from the quayside. We no longer really need tugs unless there is high wind, and also when we move along the quayside or when we are at anchorage position, these bow thrusters are very useful. If there is any form of bad weather, we can extend our stabilizers to make sure our guests are kept as comfortable as possible. If there is bad weather, the captain will order that these stabilizers be extended, and that will help prevent about 70% of the roll of the ship. The roll is the left to right hand movement, and as I said, we can cut out about 70% of that by extending the stabilizers. They lie 3 meters below the surface of the water and extend out about 6 meters on each side. And here you can see a video of our stabilizers being tested when we are in the dry dock.